to the Parliament meeting of February 27, 2019. Please be silent for the roll call.
Joshua Percy.
Here.
Genesis Garcia.
Here.
Janelle Gomez.
Here.
Julio Baroa.
Here.
Haley Roan.
Here.
Sakani King. Catherine Enos. Alexis Polonsky. Here. Valerie Endres. Rosalind Sadilski. Tamika Brindle Williams. Arthur Patrick. Robert Smith.
Here.
Here, seeking a motion for the approval of the agenda. Thank you, one from Ms. Enos and one from Ms. Garcia. Any discussions?
Yes, I'd like to motion to add the resolution, the parking, I don't know where.
Yeah.
I got it right here. The parking issues resolution, motion to add that.
Where do you want to have that?
Oh, under new business, which would be after reports.
We have one from Ms. Gomez, one from Ms. Garcia. Any other discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Any other discussions on the agenda? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Sounds ready. Seeking motion for the approval of the minutes of February 13th. Awesome. Thank you. One from Ms. Garcia, one from Ms. Gomez. Any discussions regarding that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Awesome. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We have speakers, Dr. Frank Sanchez and Dr. Jason Merriweather.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Appreciate everyone out here this evening. My request is relatively simple, straightforward. I'm requesting SCG for resolution to support the promise at Rhode Island College. And so we have spent a few minutes just telling folks about what the promise, how it's currently proposed in legislation. And there's a lot of misinformation about the promise as it's designed for Rhode Island College. Very, very different from the promise at CCRI in several different ways. The media kind of portray it as free college education. It's anything but free, frankly. In fact, in order to even qualify for the promise at Rhode Island College, you have to pay for the first 2 years full tuition. Of course, you can apply to federal aid and these kind of scholarships, but the overall cost for the first 2 years at Rhode Island College equates to about $19,000, about $9,500 each year for 2 years. In addition to paying for the first 2 years, you have to be on track for a 4-year college degree, which means by the end of your sophomore year, you've had to complete 60 credit hours. On top of that, you have to have at least a 2.5 GPA. And at that point, then you would qualify for the promise at Rhode Island College. I like the model because it tells students that if you're willing to work hard, you commit to your studies, and it's kind of paid for performance, you're willing to go through that, the state will help you get over the finish line. In effect, provide an incentive grant, essentially a $19,000 incentive grant for your junior and senior year. And again, there's a lot of misunderstandings about the promise expansion. One, I've heard, well, gosh, you can then do your first 2 years at CCRI and then your last 2 years at Rhode Island College. That's inaccurate. You can either have one or the other. You can do your 2 years at CCRI, or you can only receive the Rhode Island College promise if you do your first 2 years at Baylor, and then you receive support for your last 2 years. Another way to look at it is that the promise at CCRI is really about access to a 2-year degree. The Rhode Island College promise is about degree attainment, 4-year degree attainment. So clearly 2 different kind of distinctions between the two programs. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I think while we do know that not all current students will benefit from the promise here, certainly our juniors and seniors, we're working hard with the governor to try to get existing sophomores, if they're on track for a four-year degree, to help cover the junior and senior year. But without question, generations of Rhode Island college students well into the future would have the opportunity to receive this support and, in fact, have the state cover the junior and senior years of college, which we think will increase graduation rates, increase overall success rates for our students. And so I'm advocating strongly to the legislature. In fact, I was meeting with the speaker yesterday. I was meeting with the Senate leader today, advocating on behalf of our students in college to support the promise. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions that folks might have. And again, ask for SCG support and resolution support the promise.
Hi, thank you for coming here tonight, talk about it to us. I know, I'm in a bunch of my classes and people are talking about it, and there's a lot of misconceptions, so you definitely cleared up. I now have a clear understanding what it is, because you answered my question actually, so I was like, is it for, I was like, do current students that we qualify, but you're saying that sophomores, like, would qualify more than like, juniors and seniors. I mean, that makes sense. And also like, you have to graduate in 4 years for the, and that's, speaking for some of the students that are following, like some of them feel like that's unrealistic here at Everett, because now it's like a huge group that doesn't graduate in 4 years. So that's kind of like one of the things that people like, are like, because I mean myself, like, this is my 5th year here. And so, but that's like, it's such a big thing. So, but I don't know, like, if I was getting hope for at least 2 years, I'm not going to complain. Like, that's like 2 years I didn't have to pay out of my pocket, so I think it's, I think you guys really should do a survey to see what other people think about it. And so it's a lot of people are so uneducated on this topic. So
Yeah, there's a lot of misunderstanding, miseducation about the program. In terms of the program initiative by the governor, it really is intended to actually increase the percentage of our students who complete 4 years. We're actually on par, in fact, above national averages of 5 and 6 year graduation rates. As many of you may know, the average graduation rate is no longer 4 years in America today.
yeah,
It just takes longer. You have to work. There's a variety of reasons why it's taking longer. It's no longer the average. But this governor's initiative, with the promise, is really trying to incentivize so students may be willing to not work as much if they knew that they would get support to get their college complete, in fact, support to get over the finish line. At least that's kind of the rationale and the thinking. We understand there are a lot of students, either because of family obligations or just making ends meet, will not be able to qualify. And that's why what we're trying to do is to create an opportunity for those students who could benefit and actually have the opportunity to get a 4-year college degree if they can put off working with support by the state to get a hold of
So I was doing some maths about like my college career, and like usually I would take about 12 credits. So when I did that, you said you had to be applicable for the Rhode Island Promise, you have to have 60 credits by your sophomore year. Well, if I did my whole year all over, I basically only have 48 credits by the end of my sophomore year. So this is like, I think you kind of answered my question with your last statement about it kind of making you not be able to work your first 2 years. Like, well, not be able to work, but incentivize you to not work those first 2 years so that you do get those credits. Is it trying to just like kind of increase the number of grads on the market rather than?
Yes, I think absolutely the governor has an initiative to have 70% of all Rhode Islanders with at least a certificate or a college degree by 2025. So no question, she's trying to get more Rhode Islanders to get college degrees. And one way to do that is by incentivizing, in the case of the promise, incentivizing traditional age college students to get through a four-year degree program and to get out into the workforce. It helps the economy. There's a number of reasons why we want more college graduates. The challenge, as you point out, is that full-time for a lot of students is about 12 credit hours. The reality is, and the reason why we see higher 5-year, 6-year graduation rates is actually what you're describing. More students are taking that 12 credit threshold a semester, and you won't be able to graduate in 4 years at that pace. And so the governor's trying to say, well, geez, let's try to incentivize, whether it's two credits, or 12 credits, 2 semesters, and then maybe 6 credits during the summer, right? We're also exploring possibly putting some more courses online. Let's try to find ways where students can access enough courses so they can get to that 60 credit threshold, again, on a path towards a 4-year college degree. And again, it's really trying to incentivize students to shorten their time towards a college degree. Understanding, again, not all students are going to do that.
Any other discussions? Opposition?
So, thank you for coming and kind of explaining this a little bit better than I could. I was at the RIC Council meeting when we went over it, and I felt like this is something the body needed to hear, and I couldn't, describe it well enough for them to understand or answer any questions that they had. Obviously, I had some concerns with it because I do the same thing. Like I'll take me 5 years to graduate, but I've taken 12, sometimes 16, depending on the semester, which I don't really have a problem with. It's okay. And I think there's good things and bad things about this RI promise at RIC. Obviously, as students, and I would assume Rhode Island College in general wishes that could help more of their students. Not just, if I remember correctly, the estimated about 300 students that would currently affect positively, or they would qualify for the RI promise at RIC, if I remember correctly, which is great for them. Like, that's an insane incentive for them, and that's good for them. I don't know if there's any type of idea of, because summer courses and early winter courses aren't free, federal aid doesn't cover it. Is there any type of idea that the college is trying to come up with to try to help provide some students who may be a class or two short but can't afford to take a summer class, to try to help balance out that type of issue that they might come about with?
We're working closely with the financial aid office to see what latitude we might have during the summer months. It appears as though there's some coverage during the summer months through Pell, maybe just for like a class or two.
Yeah, average Pell for the summer is about $1,500. So we have not historically, that's about a class, and Rick has not historically leveraged dollars during the summer because we've really tried to historically focus on fall and spring. So we're putting a lot of time into looking at how we can reallocate dollars to be able to support summer, looking at how we can use our foundation awards and things like that to be able to support summer so students can maybe get to a class or two. Because I think Genesis said earlier, and Janelle too, the reality for a number of our students, a lot of them is 12, 12, 6. So if we can use summer to support that and get you to 30 hours, that's an important thing. That's something that we're definitely looking at how we can get a little more support out there. So we have about 42% of our students are Pell eligible, and most of them get max Pell. And then for other students who don't have Pell, to have something out there to be able to help with summer classes. So it's a lot of our focus right now too.
Janelle brings up a good point that I'm curious, and maybe the student can respond to this, but if you knew, say you were coming in as a freshman, and there was the opportunity to have a promise that said, you know what, you're maybe planning to take 12 credits a semester, but the promise said, well, geez, if you take one more class each semester for the next 4 semesters, and if you have 2.5 GPA, you would qualify for $19,000, basically the next 2 years covered tuition. Would that be an incentive?
I think it would be an incentive, but sometimes it's not a reality because I come from working My parents don't pay for my books. My dad gives me all he can, and he's watching out there. You give me all you can, and I know you do. But the reality is, we can't afford to put me through all this education. So I have to work my like server job on the weekend and do all that good stuff so I can be able to afford to be here. So for me, I think that I want to strive for that, but I feel like I also probably fail at it because I do put too much on my plate at one time. And the, like, again, life situations and that. But I do appreciate the idea that you guys are looking for summer aids and trying to do that. Because if I think that's more of a reality that like most students could do like 12 courses and then do some extra summer. Like I know it sucks to do summer courses. Nobody wants to waste their summer, like not be able to have it, but I feel like I'd do it if they were like, hey, if you do the summer courses for the next 2 summers, girl, let me tell you, you're gonna get this good check. I'll be like, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it, definitely. So that's my only concern, because like I know that I know my situation, but I don't know how. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I know that like it's sad, but it's true.
Well, it's technically, as you point out, textbooks, it's just nationally, actually, on an annual basis, about $900 per student on an annual basis. So we're trying to bring down the expense of textbooks at our college. So a year ago, we initiated an open source textbook initiative. We saved students in that first year about about $100,000 in expenses to students and their families. This year, in the first semester, we saved students about $300,000. About 1,200 students have benefited from this open source textbook initiative, where essentially those classes that had it, they paid nothing for their textbooks. And more faculty are being trained and becoming knowledgeable about some of those resources. So that's an area where I think we can help students as well.
And I definitely see some good strides.
Does anyone in here have an open source textbook?
I didn't even know about that. I'm very pretty sure.
Biology, first year biology is all those sections. History classes and others.
So I was gonna say, I don't know, do a counter argument for yours. You posed the question if like, as a freshman coming in, I mean, as a freshman, my first 3 years here, this is my first full year of being on my own in an apartment. So my first 3 years living from home, having a job, commuting to campus, if I knew about this, my first thought process would be, okay, I don't need to work my job. Why don't I live on campus? Don't need to spend a lot of money on campus. Sure, living on campus is a little bit more expensive, but there's job opportunities on campus. So my thought process would be that if I knew about this and I needed to take the maximum amount of credits, I'd probably look to move on campus, which would increase the amount of residents that we have. And then number 2, it would give me more of an opportunity to take more classes, because that's the main reason I can't, because I have to work. So I feel like it would be a good incentive, and I think people would take it seriously, and they would find a way to get it done. I know full-time students that take 5 classes. So it's not impossible. It just depends on who you are. And then I think eventually, once you get there, you maybe can get a side job outside of it. You know what I mean? And then a small one, maybe a part-time one. So it's not impossible. It just seems like the first 2 years will make it the toughest. And then once you get past that, then it'll make it a little bit easier on you. Because then you don't need a job, because you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for classes. So maybe you can move back home if they're still in Rhode Island, obviously. And you can, do certain things. I think it's good. I think it'll eventually end up good. There might be a few kinks and some bugs that you might need to work out of it, but I do think it'll work out well.
We know that, again, part of it is to increase the number of degrees out there. It's also a strategy to reduce debt. As you all know, national debt is just outrageous, but national everywhere. And this is one way the governor is saying, you know what, here's a way to dramatically reduce the level of debt, at least for students who are attending college. And that's why I think whether you qualify for it or not, it's just a win, it's a win for students.
So I would concur with them that it will be a nice incentive, but again, I would have to come back to my engineer, that it is quite difficult for college students to do anything, especially with the life outside of college. We all have lives outside, but we do want to make sure that everybody does, and everybody concurs with that. But I reckon, no matter what, like I was writing down, what it was, you said 300 students, from my recollection, about 8,000 students, you the math is not really a great percentage at all, which I'm not, walking or nothing like that. At the end of the day, as long as you're helping somebody, I feel like you're in the right position, in the right direction. But it just does not seem as though it will go for us to help the maximum amount of people. Because again, most people cannot, as you alluded to, most people cannot take a full scale, most people cannot do that. Whether it be people, family business or economic business, most people do have problems with money. And my second point would be, would this only qualify for Rhode residents, or would out-of-state people come from like Mass or like New Jersey or something like that, would they qualify as well?
No, this would be only for Rhode Island residents graduating from high school in Rhode Island. So it's just locally here in the state. And just to clarify, the data on the 300 students, well, that's correct, that's only for the sophomore class. It would apply to all incoming freshmen, the entire class of incoming freshmen this next year. What we're trying to do is, so we don't have to wait 2 years for anyone to benefit, we're trying to work together so that today's sophomores would qualify if they're on track for a 4-year degree. So that's the 300, but every entering class after that, every single student, provided they met those requirements, will qualify for the grant.
The only consideration I'll have on that is real quick after the class, it's 4 credits per class, right?
Depends on the class. A lot of them are 4 credits, but not all of them. Some of them are 3 as well.
So, again, I just continue back to that idea that it's quite hard to take a full schedule. Is there, would there be any further talks upon providing restrictions for this?
So right now, the governor's kind of laid pretty tight set of criteria for it. As it goes, after a year or 2, who knows if they would be willing to broaden the criteria. I'll give you one example. In fact, they're considering right now. So 2 years ago, they did this at the community college. This year in the legislation, they're looking at expanding that to adult students who attend CCRI. So it can be tweaked and it can be changed. In fact, the president of URI is advocating that the adult promise be able to be applied to Rhode Island College and to URI as well in this legislation, in this legislative season. So to your point, it can, right now there's a kind of hard line of criteria, but that doesn't mean that each year change now.
My next conclusion will go back to the textbook idea. So, to give you a little bit of insight, I've been in school for about 3 years. It took me 3 years to get my associate before I transferred. But I never bought a textbook. Like it was even hard for me to pay for school, to be honest with you. I was just to be able to sit, I'm saying, but after you do 2 years, after you crank out all of the classes you're supposed to crank out, you get 2.5, all that, would there be a stipend, or would it just be school is paid for and whatever else, whether it be your housing, food, textbooks, would that be on you, or would that also be included in the 2 years?
That would be on each individual. This would cover tuition and fees. You're absolutely right. So if you want to live on campus, or your textbooks, or any fees that you need to cover, this would cover tuition and fees.
That kind of goes back to the point of people's growth.
So you're absolutely right. What we're trying to advocate for is actually your point, is we're trying to bring more resources into the hands of students. In this form, it's $19,000 that our students wouldn't have their junior and senior year if it doesn't get passed. Well, that $19,000 on you. And so that's why we're trying to advocate and look NCG for resolution, so, because we're trying to, you and I think for the most part, we're kind of all on the same page. We are trying, this is actually a legislation to get more resources into the hands of our students. So there's less burden, less loans, less financial difficulty. And this proposal, that's exactly what it's doing. Now, granted, it doesn't apply to all students this first year out. Every class coming in after that, they're going to be eligible for this by the criteria.
One more component to this that's important is long-term, if we do this well, more students would be on the path to qualify. So we're also focused on advising, and we spent a lot of time talking about that. But if this funding passes as is, the governor has allocated several $100,000 to help support hiring more advisors, to support all students, promise students too. And I think a better job we can do of advising, adding capacity for that. Hopefully we can do a better job of getting more students qualified. I mean, I agree with you, 300, to Mr. Payne's point, I think 300 is good. A good start, but it's a small number that we want to grow and expand. So with that advising, another interesting data point, I'm a nerd, I like numbers. So about 54% of the students that we retain every year are actually students who are taking 15 or more credit hours. And I was actually kind of surprised by that number because I didn't think that was our reality. We do have a number of students who are taking 15 or more credit hours. But the trick is, there are more students who are taking them in the junior, senior year when it's like, okay, it's time to get out. And so, so we gotta be honest about that. And so part of our advising work has to be to try to help students navigate that, to do a better job with our resources. But I think summer is really going to be the place where we can help. I mean, that's how I got out of undergrad in 4 years. I escaped undergrad in 4 years because I went to summer school every semester. In fact, I walked in May, but my degree wasn't actually conferred until August because I also took a couple of summer classes in June. I mean, I walked and my family was happy, like, why aren't you coming home? I was like, yeah, I got to go to class. So I'm saying to say that that's an important part of the work that we have to do as well. So that summer school is really, really important to offset all the realities that everyone's talking about. And to Mr. Kane too, thank you for not making me be the only Southerner. Thank you.
Much obliged, I always say
Janelle?
So, the promise as well, I just wanted to go off of, so the first 2 years you have to do the 15 credits, 60 credits, boom, you get the promise. So the promise is only
GPA
working.
is what?
Yes.
2.5.
2.5 GPA. So you're officially in, everything's great. But what if, like, because of the 2 years you have some debts or like you have like tragic accident or car crash or something crazy happens where you find yourself that you need to work more hours and then you're not hitting the 15, about 15 credits a semester? Will the promise apply to you past?
Yeah, so you need to, in order, it's a renewable, so after, so you go through the sophomore year, you get to the junior year, you have to be still on track to that 4-year degree, so it's 15 credit hours each semester, and still a 2.5 to then go to your senior year. Once you get into senior year, then it's, you still have to follow that path to the spring semester.
And they're only giving you those 2 years.
Sorry?
They're only paying for those 2 years, and like after the first 2 years.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, so actually, this came up because some of our programs take a little bit longer if you follow them according to how they're designed, just the number of credits and for accrediting purposes, that they will pay for programs that are designed to be longer. But now this is real important, but if you take longer to do it outside of how the program is designed, then it'll only cover those 2 years. Again, without getting too complicated, it's taking right now for all students at Rhode Island College, tuition fees about $38,000. No aid, no federal aid, or no scholarships for 4 years. It's cutting it down to $19,000. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary. considering a $90,000 four-year college degree. We actually started crunching average aid, financial aid, and scholarships. On average, it actually would bring it down to $13,500 for a four-year college degree. That's unheard of in this country. And so in terms of opportunity, affordability, and then you all are beginning to hear about the quality of our programs, that really, it's going to be hard to beat anywhere. And so that's, again, understanding this doesn't fit every student's kind of circumstances, but it's going to provide incredible opportunity to a lot of learners for years and years to come. And again, this is why we're coming to this important body to seek student support in this effort.
I just wanted to add one more question. So you said something about hiring advisors, and I'm just gonna advocate for my teachers. So what about getting more tenures or giving more full-time positions to faculty members and staff?
Yeah, this is a high priority for the college. So what we have found, certainly since I've started with all the colleges, the ratio of full-time faculty versus part-time, that ratio actually looks more like that you find in the community college. That should be flipped. It's roughly 45 to 55%. 45% full-time, 55% part-time. We got to flip that with more full-time faculty. So that's an important priority. We're gearing up right now for our accreditation for the institution in 2020. Simultaneously, we're going to be putting together a strategic plan for the college, concluding the 2017-2020 strategic plan. The planning process starts this next year for the next one, and this is going to be a very high priority, and you'll find it in the plan. We have to do that.
Just making sure that they're still on your mind.
No question.
They're on mine.
They move the institution forward. Absolutely.
So it seems like there's a lot of stress on the summer classes that this gets initiated. I know summer classes right now is not really that broad, it's kind of narrow based on what you can take. So would you be planning on extending the availability of what for all majors, what you can take for the summer?
Well, we're absolutely, and in addition to trying to grow the number of summer classes, we have to have more evening classes available to students. We know, when you're an 85% commuter campus, a lot of folks are working during the day. You can't take classes between 8 and 5. But if we could extend them into 7, 8, 9, even 10 o'clock at night, we know a lot more students could benefit from that, as well as, again, some online offerings. So we're going to look at a whole variety of ways to help students, particularly with the Promise Passes, to help students access classes so that they can complete those 60 credit hours so they can be on path to actually receive the benefit. We're not where we need to be on that front in terms of evening classes at all, or online, or summer. Yeah, we have ways to.
So I think that the direction this is going, I think it has the potential to benefit a lot of students. I agree with the struggle for obviously students they have to work part-time and all that kind of stuff. I think another part of the concern would be, these are incoming freshmen, they're not used to how colleges and that kind of course look. I know a lot of people they might sign up for 4 or 5 classes their first year here and they just crumble because they're not used to that kind of course load. So I definitely think finding better funding for the summer courses would also be beneficial to the incoming freshmen, just because it might take off some of that, I want to qualify for the Rhode Island College Promise, but it's really intimidating to take on that kind of course load. So I think that looking into those opportunities would be beneficial as well to this program.
Some colleges and universities actually take a step further. Dr. Merriweather and I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet, but they'll even incentivize taking summer classes by reducing the rate, the tuition rate, just to incentivize and encourage, because there's a lot of research that's been done that academic momentum actually is a huge contributor to graduation rates. If you keep students keeping on and staying engaged, they're more likely to keep it going for graduation. So that's something we certainly should explore, maybe look at reducing summer course expenses just to get more students to take it, then require us to make more offerings available as well.
We actually did that when I worked at Indiana University. We did a 25% summer discount, and we saw a pretty significant gain in the number of students who were taking summer courses. The important part of it was, kind of to your point, Representative Wonsky, is to make sure that we are aligning the needs of students. So we're working on with Starfish, and I know Dr. Payne can present to you all about Starfish. And right now we've got about 21 faculty who are testing it with their advisors in the classes. The Starfish will allow us to track and forecast the classes that students need for summer, and to be able to give that to the faculty. That's something that we've not historically provided to faculty to be able to make those. So they've done good work with summer offerings, but using this system to be able to forecast and provide that should help us a lot.
I like that. I really wanted to say thank you, and I really like the idea of reducing summer courses because I'm married and I love school and I love learning. So when I was in high school, I literally said, I'm going to take classes in the summer. I'm going to be in school all the time. It's going to be graduating 4 years or less. And then I saw those prices and I was like, no, I'm graduating in 5 years or more. So I really appreciate that, and I think that that's a benefit not only to myself and my situation, but probably generations to come, and that's what really matters is the education of further people. Thanks.
Any further discussions? Thank you. Dr. Jason?
All right, thank you all for having me. President Percy, I appreciate you for this invitation. And I was actually a little nervous. I called him yesterday because I thought I had to talk about the promise. And I found out the president was coming. He knows this way better than I do. I would pass one of these around. I wanted to provide Josh's request, or excuse me, President Percy's request to talk a little bit about Northeast Neighbors and some of the progress. You all may remember that I came to you all earlier in the school year as we were building up to passing the Northeast Neighbors resolution to our council for the public universities, the colleges, universities, and state, and talk to you all a little bit about some of the work we were doing, the ACT and SAT, name search purposes, the increased communication, and some of the other work. So we've had a little time to make some changes, and before I go into the numbers, I'll just share overall with you all. We have had to really dramatically change the way that we recruit students to Rhode Island College. We have had a luxury for a very long time that students just kind of showed up. We could kind of go to college fairs and pass out stuff at college fairs, kind of visit the high schools we wanted to visit, and that would turn around and produce students because people wanted to come to RIC. With increased competition, in particular the population decline in the state of Rhode Island, it's been tough for us as a public institution, and as we talked about just with the growth of the promise, that also sent a few more students to CCRI. So this Rhode Island promise, or the Rhode Island College promise, would be great. So with that, we passed Northeast Neighbors, and now I'm going to share a little bit on trends with you of what we've seen. So I'll kind of break this down state by state for you for our Northeast Neighbors territory. So in Massachusetts, we've seen some pretty tremendous gains in Norfolk and Bristol County. As you see, we picked up 445 applications compared to 375 in the prior year. And actually, if you look back over 5 years, this is a pretty sizable increase in this area. We've admitted about 306 of those students compared to 253 at this point. We're still moving students along, but that has been a really fruitful area for us in terms of students in the new area that are now no longer having to pay out of state, and so we're hoping to see that transform into yield. In Massachusetts, it's actually been an interesting challenge because we have seen a small decline in the Boston area this year, and we're still kind of trying to unpack that. So we're doing some extra work in Boston to get out and to make sure that we don't lose ground in schools there, because the competition is really big in Boston, so it's really important for us to keep a foothold there. You all may recall that in the fall of 2017, and last year, every semester, we've done the digital targeting messages on campus to get students to register. And this is a strategy that we're also taking on Northeast Neighbors territory to have specific messaging where we target the high schools that we're performing really well, and also high schools that we think we can perform well. In Massachusetts, those areas are Boston, Springfield, which is Hampshire County, or maybe Hampshire County, however y'all say it up here, Norfolk, Bristol County area. How do you say it? Worcester, yeah, which is not like it's spelled, and Essex County. And so, with that in mind, we have to do that work, and so we'll be doing digital targeting messages in the high schools to get both seniors who are closing the deal on where they're going to go, and also to really get our message out there with juniors to continue to have gains in this area. Connecticut has been another interesting area. We've seen some pretty good growth in the Hartford market. I've actually been to Hartford 2 or 3 times myself to go to high schools and see the application rates that we've seen go up in Hartford and in New Haven. New Haven's jump isn't quite as big, but it's just enough to show that we keep working in that area. But Hartford has been a very fruitful area for us. If any of you have been to the mall, you may see that great big Eastern Connecticut banner that's in the middle of Providence Place Mall, which we're on camera, so I won't talk about how I really feel about it, because I'm friends in Eastern Connecticut. But I will tell you that we're going to hit that area. Hartford is a big recruiting ground for Eastern Connecticut, so we're hitting it really hard in Hartford. And also, I want to put a sign right next to Eastern Connecticut's campus. The admissions won't let me, so we're going to put something in their mall as well. But I say all of that to say that those are some important areas to think about. We're also hosting in Hartford, this is really fertile ground for us, a RIC Recruitment Day on April 16th, where we're going to go into Hartford and hit the area high schools really, really hard to get out there. Classical High School in Hartford is an area that a school that's really been receptive to us. They're actually sending a caravan of students here, a busload of students who are going to come here, I think in March. They've also invited us back to have us do a RIC Day, particularly at that high school, to talk to all their juniors and seniors. We also have 3 RIC alumni who are going to be joining us in Hartford as well. I think that is a market that we cannot afford to ignore. We're also going to be doing digital targeting, and the digital targeting messages will go throughout March and April. And those messages will be in the areas of Hartford, New Haven, and we're also trying to identify some other areas around the border places to hit in Connecticut. In New Hampshire, did you want to go down? Okay. In New Hampshire, we've doubled the number of applicants from 30 to 60 this year, and 36 admits compared to 16 last year. I'm going to skip over Rhode Island and tell you a little bit about New York, New Jersey, and Maine. Maine is basically giving education away. And so, I mean, their affordability in Maine, the affordability message, if you've seen some of our Northeast Neighbor stuff, and we have the charts that demonstrate our affordability compared to the other institutions, that's not the messaging that we use in Maine. Our messaging is really around academic quality and really about getting into the city, you know, and that's the message that we're using in Maine. Because their cost is just really, really cheap. They're some of the most affordable higher education in the state. So we've not seen a dramatic increase in Maine. Same for New York and New Jersey. We're relatively flat there, but I think by mid-March we'll see the effects of Vanessa Ruggieri, who was actually the vice president last year as a new recruiter. She's spent nearly a month in New York, in New Jersey. And we're hoping to see the results of some of those visits in mid-March. And also Brian Stevens, our recruiter, is spending a lot of time in Maine. So we're hoping that by mid-March, late March, we'll be able to see a bump in that area. But right now, we're relatively flat. One of the important things with Northeast Neighbors that I really want to focus on is that we could not see Rhode Island. Many institutions in this state and beyond focus on going out of state and do that to sort of supplement in-state recruitment, but also many institutions turn their states away. We could not automatically afford to see ground in Rhode Island. So what you'll see is we're actually 110 applications and 100 additional admits in Rhode Island this year. which is really, really important to us. So 1,503 admits compared to 1,403 in 2018, and about 2,641 applications compared to 2,531 compared to last year. And that's really, really important to us, that we do not just say, okay, we're throwing Rhode Island away. We have to work harder to get more students from less available to Rhode Island. The population of Rhode Island won't turn around until about 2023 or 2024. And so with that in mind, we have to work really hard. We're also doing Rhode Island College Days at a number of the high schools here. We've done North Smithfield, Cranston East. I think we're going to Cranston West next week. We've done some Rick Days in Central Falls. If y'all follow me on social media, you may have seen the video I posted recently about our Rick Day in Central Falls. That was really successful. So just want you to know that Northeast Neighbors, we're not giving up on Rhode Island. A couple of important activities to yield students that we're doing. We're continuing our search communication for ACT and SAT name purchases. That's around 98,000 students. We picked up 90 and we purchased about another 8,000 names in January. We're also doing some direct communication from student ambassadors. Like for example, we have a letter that will be going out to all students who've been admitted from Genevieve, one of our student ambassadors. It's kind of cool. Nice little HTML image of her in there to communicate to all students to encourage them. I'm also going to be asking President Percy to do a letter as the SCG president. Rick Days in the spring, we're going to continue the Rick Days I talked about in Hartford. We're looking to do one in New Haven, and looking at doing one. We're trying to figure out the right place to do it in Massachusetts. We're sending out invitations to open house to get people to come in April to our Accepted Students Day event. That's a big deal event for us. The Rhode Island High School targeting, in addition to digital targeting, we've also done some homework to identify the top 15 schools in Rhode Island that we want to target and have digital messages on those campus, at those schools also in March and in April to have messaging about coming to Rick. And so that'll be an important part of our yield strategies. The Northeast Neighbors Days at Rick, we're having 4 dates. I'll have to email President Percy the dates, they're not in my head right now. We're having 4 Northeast Neighbor Days at Rick to invite Northeast Neighbor students to come to the campus with their families. We're also doing direct housing marketing. There's messaging coming to students about living on campus and about the experience there. Academic communication from regarding your major. Our orientation messaging is already going out to students to get people to sign up for orientation. And another important thing is we're implementing Salesforce, which is a CRM, customer relationship management system, so that we can have automated communication. A lot of our freshmen, new student communication is kind of old school, James Bond spy style, doing mail merges and Excel spreadsheets. We're moving into this Salesforce product, so the minute that you click a social media ad and go to our website, we capture your name and email address, and you automatically get communication from us. The minute that you submit an application, you begin to get series of incremental communications from Rhode Island College. And when many of you are recruited, you may have honestly noticed a difference that you're constantly hearing from other colleges, but maybe you didn't hear from Rick as much. And so we're trying to improve that so students hear from us via email and via collateral piece at a minimum every 25 to 30 days. So Salesforce is going to help us do that and save a lot of time and do it in an automated way. So that's kind of an update on what we're doing with Northeast Neighbors. Our target is to enroll about an additional 75 students in the first year from the Northeast Neighbors territory. Numbers are looking like that's an attainable goal. Obviously, we're trying to shoot high or aim low and get high on this and try to get more students than that. But 75 students from the Northeast Neighbors territory is our target. So we live and breathe and think about this every day. Our admissions team, Omar, Vanessa, Brian, Lucy, Jen, Jason Anthony, Sue Hart, and Amy, they're doing a lot of work, and so are our student ambassadors to close the deal. And if we can do this work intelligently and work really hard and get more students from Rhode Island and get more students from Northeast Neighbors territory, it'll be really good for the college.
I just wanted to talk about the Rick Days. It was something very interesting, and I see potential for for SEG to also possibly have like a nice like hurrah in that. Would you think that that would be okay for like us to just come in, over also students, and probably like discuss how Rick is great and how we should come here?
We would love it, especially if you want to say that it was great. We would absolutely love that. And so what I will do is I'll send an email to President Percy with the RIC days that we're having in other places and the RIC days that we have coming up in Rhode Island. And any students who want to participate at Cranston East, we took a couple students who were Cranston East alums who are here at RIC to be a part of the conversation. Another really cool thing that came out of the Cranston East visit, totally unexpected, was we talked with their ELL students. They have about 50 English language learner students at Cranston East, and we're actually going to host them on campus. I think in late March, we're going to host them on campus and have a day just for them to come and visit and engage our faculty. So anything like that that student government wants to participate in, it would be an honor to have you. Anything, they want to hear from students. That they know, it's kind of like it's kind of like telling your mother, that you love her. She knows you're going to tell her that because you're her kid. They know if we tell them about Rick, we work here, and while they believe us, the believability of students because they're going to pull you to the side and they're going to say, okay, what's it really like here? And because you all are extremely involved and connected, that's going to make a difference. So it's really important to us to have you participate in that. Thank you.
Any other discussions? Okay.
I'm quite ignorant on this idea, but what is your target in college?
Okay, this is fun. All right, so, hold on, back I have to. So what we have begun to do is to drop messages. So are you on Snap or Instagram or anything like that?
This one.
You don't do any of that? That's all right, that's good, so I'm still gonna show you. So for students who are on social media, we really have to be where students are in terms of how we communicate with them. And so it's really important that we go in spaces. So many students are on social media. Actually, about 94% of college students, whether it be the adults or 18-year-olds, are on social media. So it's going to someone we're talking.
I guess I'll be this 100%.
Yeah, you're in there. That's all right. And so when we're doing our particular messages about Rhode Island College, so for example, this is a message that we did last year. So this is a digital message that we did last year, like to remind students to register for class. So when they're on Snapchat, when they're on Instagram, they get messages about college. And so when you click through that, and also on Pandora and Spotify and LinkedIn. So when you go on there and you see a message about the college, if you click it, it will take you directly to the college's website to encourage you to register for class. So for high schools, we're doing that exact same thing to be able to say if they're on Snapchat, Facebook, anything like that when they're in school, the message, we'll pin it in the high school, so we'll pin it right at the high school. So that way we'll do a geofence of maybe a mile or half a mile. So any telephone that comes to that area that pulls up a social media, they'll get a RIC ad. And so that way it follows them home, and when they click, it takes us directly to our website.
To follow up, it basically, I kind of caught the idea that y'all was fixing the spam with advertisement every 25, 30 days. Is that what I was getting? Right?
You said spam?
Basically, it sounds like once you visit the site that they want to continue.
If you list your email address, we'll communicate with you about the college. Students can obviously just continue that, but the approach is if a student shows interest, so there are a number of ways a student can show interest. So let's say a student does their FAFSA, and I think you get 6 or 7 schools that you can list on the FAFSA. They may have reduced it. If a student lists RIC on their FAFSA, even if they think they're doing it as a backup school, that's an indication of interest. So at that point, we would begin to maybe send them an email. Maybe they'll get a piece about going to college, going to the college. Here are a couple of examples of some of the pieces that we've mailed, and then there's some emails I'll pass those to you to check out. And so with that in mind, we're communicating with them, trying to encourage them to enroll in college. Same thing if they, apply for admission, or if they come on the website and enter their name and email address. For us, that's an indicator of interest, and so we would follow up with those students. So for example, this is a holiday card that we sent out to every RIC student, every student who filled out an application. As you see, these are our students. This is our campus. This is who you see if you walk across campus with a little message from me, just reminding them that we want them to come to RIC. And so that digital targeting, for example, we saw a 500% increase in hits on our website when we began doing digital messages last year. And so that ended up, leading to yield. So I don't want to use spam, because it's not the word I want to use, but I will say we're up in our game in communication, because that's what other institutions are doing.
So you gave it through like 80 messages out, I'm going to break now.
Good.
If I could add just a couple things. A lot of you noticed that modernizing the physical plan. We're modernizing so many different aspects of the campus, and branding is a big part of this. In fact, I'll share with you a couple just exciting points that you're going to be hearing about. So this fall, there has not been a commercial out without in college for over 15 years. Other than a bond, there's no commercials about the academic excellence, about the quality of this institution. This fall, you're going to begin to see commercials, you're going to begin to see media information out there about Rhode Island College. And it's very exciting. We're reintroducing this college across the state and across the region. And a lot of exciting things are happening along those lines. Here, you all may not know, the creator of Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda, is going to be doing a live video stream with our students here at the end of March. There's other great news associated with that we're going to be announcing. We're the only college or university in America that are receiving scholarship from the Miranda family, which is extraordinary. I mean, this guy's has become a superstar. In addition to that, the creation that's happening with the $25 million bond that we just received by donors for Horace Mann Teacher Education, it is going to be the leading teacher preparation program in the entire region. With the type of technology that's going in there and the type of training and curriculum that we're going to be providing future teachers across the state and region. But there are exciting developments like that. But a lot of it starts with what Dr. Merriweather was talking about, is how we brand, how we communicate, how we convey this exciting stuff about the college with the broader public. And it's social media, it's television, it's radio, it's all of you talking about what's happening at the institution.
All right, okay. Thank you again for coming and discussing this. It's a good update. I greatly appreciate it. And I assume the body does too. And I think the body and SCG can attest, while we might know what it feels like to get spammed, quote unquote. But we have seen, and SCG has felt the drop of enrollment. And the Northeast Neighbors is supposed to help increase enrollment. The RI Promise is supposed to help increase enrollment. And that's something that the college needs. Students are dropping like flies. SCG and Finance Commission can all attest to this, is that with handing out budgets for student boards this year, we had to make significant cuts due to the drop in enrollment. And the idea behind this is, even if we get 75 students, that's great. That's 75 more students than we had this year. So any type of number that can help increase enrollment will be successful, whether it's sending more emails. I never remember getting an email from Rick. I don't even remember getting a postcard, anything like that from Rick. Or any school. Maybe they just didn't want me. But I think this is key to the future of Rhode Island College. And the increase in enrollment and counteracting students dropping college to go to trade or anything like that, I think that the Northeast Neighbors is going to help increase where Rick needs help the most in that enrollment. And I don't think anybody on SCG would disagree with me on that one, personally. So I think that lowballing is great, because if you succeed, then it looks like you get 120, 130, 140 instead of 75. It's a huge success. And from the numbers you're showing us here, you're on track for this. And I think that the future of this program is going to increase extraordinary. And of course, our college programs here are never really advertised as well as they really are. Our nursing program and whatnot. And then the new student via teaching in the Horseman, creating student teachers and whatnot, is going to, on top of all that, is going to increase enrollment, which Rhode Island College needs extremely. And all these plans are getting set into action here. That will, I don't even think it's negatively going to affect Rick. It can only positively affect Rick. And I think that whatever can help enrollment, I'm down for it, 100%.
Thank you, President.
I do apologize for my ignorance, but like I said, I'm coming from Virginia, so I'm paying a school out of state tuition. But so these Northeast partners, the neighbors, rather, I do apologize. Do they have to pay the out of state, or is they paying a cheaper rate?
You don't have to apologize for that. So essentially, I think in the 80s, Rhode Island College created a program called MTP, Metropolitan Tuition Program, in 86, thank you. And so that gave a tuition discount of 150% of Rick's tuition to schools within 20 miles of the college. In around, thank you, 2008, that was expanded to 50 miles within a radius of the college to get 150% tuition discount, still called MTP. And so anyone outside of that 50-mile radius paid the full out-of-state tuition rate that you're referring to. And so, again, as kind of as President Percy alluded to, this was an effort, again, as I want to remind you all, to not cede Rhode Island, to keep working hard at Rhode Island, but to also draw more students to the college who are paying that rate. So the 150% tuition discount was expanded to all the Northeast states, up to Maine and down to metropolitan New York, which includes a little bit of New Jersey, Westchester County, Long Island. So, we're not up in Albany, New York, or in Buffalo. We are hitting those metropolitan areas in New York. And so by doing that, that was a strategy that we moved very quickly to do in the last year to be able to offset some of the population challenges in Rhode Island. And also, Rick has had an enrollment decline for 10 years. This is a 10-year challenge that we're giving a Herculean effort to try to turn around in the next couple of cycles, because we can't afford to keep moving this way. It's deleterious to our ability to provide, good resources for the academy to do. You're not representative, secretary, treasurer. All right, thank you. Thank you. Treasurer Gomez, to be able to provide more resources for the faculty, or as President Percy described, to be able to increase the number of students who are paying fees, to get more dollars into the student activity fee and other places to support student programming and activities. So this is mission critical to the college. I don't sleep a lot. Even when I do, I dream about enrollment. All of us are really committed to this, and I also want to make it clear that our faculty are working really hard and thinking about ways to be creative, to offer new academic programs, things like evening programs, offering gen eds online. Everyone at Rick is really thinking really hard about this to turn this around. So yeah, so that's really kind of the nexus of Northeast neighbors. Unfortunately, Virginia is a little bit far away outside.
So as someone who benefits from the Northeast neighbors, I think this is actually pretty cool. No, because, let me explain. At my high school, I was the only person to go to Rick. Out of everyone who graduated, I was a single person who went to Rick. So, and the only reason I went to Rick is because I just happened to stumble upon it. Like, there was no advertising for it, I just happened to see it and the college interested me. So I think, to see these numbers, this increase is really cool, and the digital targeting is obviously working.
Where's your high school?
Easton, Massachusetts.
Okay, we're gonna take you back to see if we can get somebody else. that really is an important strategy. I was being a little levity about it, but in reality, having students from the school go back to visit does make a difference, and that's a strategy that we've begun to employ. in this current cycle.
Pardon me. I saw a poster with you, Pastor Brown, and I also thought about like the word apathy that there is, like the basic well, not circumstance, but basic ideology that our students mostly have about just coming here, coming to classes and leaving and not being part of the campus life. I feel like maybe you should target some of those postcards to us and see, and we can see like, you know, all the happy faces, even though like, I know that we have our own friends in XYZ, but if you're seeing more advertisement from your own college and your college is interested in you, you'd probably be more interested in it and be more on campus and stuff and more active.
That's terrific advice, thank you.
Any further discussion? Josh?
I just wanted to, seems like we're all done with discussion. I wanted to thank you both for coming tonight. Great information for us all to hear. I really appreciate it. Just assuming the body does too. And hopefully you guys get home safe. If you have a long drive ahead of you, to get there. So I am greatly appreciative of you guys coming here tonight. Thank you.
I know we just said, thank y'all for coming. I apologize for stopping. Was y'all considering expanding all these labels to more than just Northeast? I'm not trying to take it in there, you know what I'm saying? You know, Ohio got pretty close, you know. College, schools around there, actually, within driving distance, not like a Virginia driving distance, but actual like half a day, maybe even less than that driving distance. I was wondering, would y'all be interested in expanding it so it's not just Northeast? Pennsylvania, something like that.
Yeah, so absolutely. I think we're going to take a look at how effective the current Northeast Neighbors Program is, at least for a couple of years, to see if we're getting the yield that we're anticipating. And then we'll probably revisit whether or not we need to expand it beyond it. But yeah, definitely not off the table. At this point, as President Percy mentioned, enrollments college for the last 10 years has been in decline, but it's because the state has been in decline. We rely heavily on Rhode Islanders to come to Rhode Island College. That makes sense, it's the state college. The reality is we've changed our strategy now because that market has gotten very tight, and frankly, we've never recruited either out of state or international for that matter. And certainly out of state is going to be a great opportunity for us. So definitely wouldn't come on the table.
I wasn't feeling inquired, so is y'all not, if y'all not gonna expand on these neighbors like that, but is y'all gonna look into the yield first? Would y'all, I'm reckoning that half the idea of these neighbors is advertising. So would y'all be looking to advertise a little further outside of the Northeast, or is that somewhere where y'all trying to stay around? Like with additional advertising, with banners or something like that? I mean, again, Pennsylvania, Ohio, like that far,
Yeah. It's shocking how expensive advertising is these days. It's whether it's radio or banner in an airport, I mean, it's staggering. So for now, we're just trying to get a little bit of money in advertising to the Northeast neighbor spots. We haven't begun to think about what that can look beyond that, but we're working at it.
And as an example of that, it's great insight. As an example, we sort of slid New York in there because our athletics had a real presence in Long Island. We initially didn't start out thinking about New York. We were really focused on the traditional Northeast proper, so in New England. And so because of the fact that we were getting a lot of student athletes from Long Island, Metro New York, we did have a small number of students there. We were able to get that worked into the Northeast Neighbors Agreement so that we could try to build upon that. So for example, the first people to go to Long Island and to New York were actually our coaches, our baseball and basketball and wrestling and soccer coaches really sort of saturated the area. And then we followed that up with our recruiters because of the places where we received our, been able to enroll athletes. So depending on what comes out of that, we may see it expand. I would love to get all of New York and all of New Jersey, but the numbers have to demonstrate that they work and they revisit in a couple of years.
Thank you again.
Thank you all.
Yeah, stay warm. I know.
Long drive through Smithfield, y'all.
Stay safe, drive safe.
So as a, if there were to be a resolution, would you anticipate that?
Or I don't know, it depends on how much, I can't do this by myself. So, I mean, we can have it by, I think the first couple meetings we come back and try and break.
The 27th of March?
27th?
No, that's satisfied meeting.
Oh, yeah, I don't have another one scheduled, right?
So we have one either March 6th next week or then. We have one next week, but after that,
Yeah, I mean, if we put in enough work, we can have it done by next week.
For what it's worth, it'd be extremely helpful as we're going to the state house, to be able to share with the students. If, again, you all have to debate whether you're supporting the student government supports the promise, that would be incredibly helpful as we're having these meetings at the state house. Just food for thought.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for having us.
Thank you so much, and that's it.
Continuing on, open forum. Have any more for open forum? All right. Officers' announcements. Mr. Percy.
All right, I'm gonna keep this brief, snow's coming down. I have submitted some policy changes to the bylaws of SCG that I sent to Leo, just so you guys are aware that hopefully those will be coming to Parliament soon. Other than that, I do have a meeting with President Sanchez tomorrow. And I have a meeting with Kristen Salemi for some issues that I have with treatment of student clubs. So that will be coming up. If I have any news on that, I can share. Other than that, we have an election right after this meeting that I'll be running. So let's, I don't want to say move as quickly as possible due to the snow, but let's just keep that in mind. Other than that, I don't have any other announcements.
Awesome. Thank you.
What would be the bylaw changes? Was it what you
Oh.
was you talking about last?
No, so one of them was the current policy for resident students to join Parliament. There's 8 seats. It's a simple name change policy. New resident hall has changed its name to Penfield Hall, so we need to change that in the bylaws. I'm looking to add an additional alumni member called the SCG Officer Alumnus. Obviously, we have Rob Smith as the alumni member right now, but how should I word this? The alumni on Parliament doesn't have to be someone who served on Parliament or served in the office of SCG, and for the knowledge that they have, I see it fit that there should be someone as an alumni who knows the dealings here that should have an opportunity to serve, in addition to another alumni member. And then a lot of it's just small word changes. The current policy says the Public Relations Committee is supposed to make available the minutes of the Student Parliament through the Student Union Welcome and Information Center, which is now the mail room, and there is no welcome or information center, so I'm changing that to website and social media and other outlets, which can still be the mail room and whatnot. I'm adding some policy to the Student Entertainment Committee, which is basically if the chairperson fails to put on an event, they're not allowed to hold that position again the following year. I'm adding that if they petition to Parliament and give substantial evidence that the reason that an event didn't happen or an event failed wasn't their fault. It has happened before, and I feel like that person should have a right to defend themselves and be given opportunities to succeed. And then the final change would be the Board of Governors for Higher Education Representatives. They're no longer the Board of Governors, they're the Post-Secondary Council for Higher Education, so it's just a simple name change. But obviously, all these have to be approved by the bylaws committee, and then it'll be brought to Parliament, so you guys will have all that information when it comes to Parliament.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Justice?
I don't have much announcements, I have the Constitution, to get on, and then I have my roundtable last week. It was really good. I think I've been on April, talk about e-board transitions. Other than that, I have my report to finish, I just need to approve it, and it'll be in the next, meeting.
John?
Hi guys, welcome, and nice to see you. I know it's nighttime, so I had to be a little lively. Today we approved about $19,000, well $19,536 to be exact. Basically putting us under for about like $44,000. That's not reflected in my general fund allocations report, general fund activity report. That's just because those numbers are brought to me today. And also we have a possible deposit of about $87,000. So it shows in our general fund allocations some more stuff. I'll talk about it later. But definitely we had a great budgeting weekend. A lot of clubs came in with a good mindset to compromise. We have about like $1,825.30 to give out back to clubs, just in case some people are unsatisfied. And that is all for my announcements, other than happy Dominican Independence Day to all my people out there. We've been independent, and I just gotta, talk about that real quick. Got my flag on, all for all my DR people out there. I'm out here, we're celebrating, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Independence Day. I'm not angry. I'm tired. I'm sorry. My announcements are there's some cute little flyers over there. If you could get them, pass them around, see them in the dorms. Take 5 or 10. If there is something.
There's enough there for 5 or 10.
Right. There's not enough, but take a few, put them in your dorms, please. Thank you. Really?
You have leaves.
Oh, I told you I'm tired. I have 3 leaves. I just want to ratify that Arthur's leave was announced ahead of time in our last parliament meeting. I have a leave from Dr. Valerie Andrus that says, unfortunately, I have to miss SCG this Wednesday because I need to meet with the students about one of my courses. I apologize for missing 2 meetings in a row. So a motion to approve. I have one from Ms. Gomez and one from Mr. Percy. Thank you. Any discussions regarding that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? I have another one from Dr. Russell Zabilski saying I will be unable to attend the SCG meeting on this Wednesday, April 27th, as I will be giving a talk at UConn that evening. Best, Dr. Russell Zabilski. Taking a motion to approve. I have one from Ms. Gomez and Ms. Enos. Any discussions regarding that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Here. And last one is from Dr. Tamika Worrell-Williams, saying, good afternoon. I am submitting this request as a precautionary measure. The local weather service has predicted snow accumulation to begin this evening and continue in the early morning hours of Thursday, February 28th. At this time, I am not certain of the institution's desires to remain open or not. However, I am aware that the matter is being closely monitored and determination will be made and announced as appropriate. For this reason, I wish to submit this notice as a precautionary measure in the event that the weather conditions require me to leave campus to provide me with travel time to return home safely. I reside roughly 45 to 50 minutes away from campus. Additionally, should it be the desire of SCG, I am able to attend via phone conference. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, any discussions?
How many meetings does the students miss?
Isn't it the same as, whatever, isn't it the same as just a general member?
Point of inquiry, last year we expelled the 2 dean of students at the last meeting for missing every meeting of the year last year. They're a non-voting member, so I don't believe that they're required to be here. But it is a good question. there being a need. And yes, I answered the question. You can vote to expel them, but the college can vote whomever the representative can also vote to expel them. How it works, how I work, how the staff works, how the administrative representative work, is each can say the college, alumni, staff, faculty. Some people don't remember this for all these years. This is poison my brain. Yeah, you can expel them, and you can totally expel them. It's totally within the right of the body, but the college can literally just submit the same thing back.
And it's also a bylaw position, student seats, so.
Yes, and there's that as well. And for a lot of my time, we didn't have any students. We had the person who did both jobs. That's a different thing. But you can vote to expel them. But thank you.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I tried to do my thing, I'm interested in
I have yet to seek a motion to approve that. One from Ms. Garcia, one from Ms. Walensky. Again, any discussions? All those in favor? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Haley?
Alright, I'll keep it short. My flyers, one of these flyer stamps came in. Thanks to Janelle for getting those. So I'm going to be putting them up in different places around campus, and talk to housing to get the flyer approved. So I can put one out at the check-in desk and all the dorms, so they can see it when they find those. My survey will be going out soon for student campus satisfaction, so keep your eye out for that. That's all I got.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions regarding? Awesome. Conference, constitutions and regulations reports, Ms. Garcia.
Okay, so today we have, Lovely Melon, you guys may please stand.
Welcome.
Thank you for being so patient.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Most of the time. So they're looking to be recognized by SPG. I was told that you guys are not seeking funding, is that correct?
We do not need funding, that's correct.
Alright, so please let us know your purpose for this work and anything else that we should know, any future plans, particularly.
Awesome. So, I'm not sure if, I don't know if all this is, if I can like ask you guys questions or not, but, so Love Your Melon, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the brand, the clothing brand, or if you've seen anything on social media for anyone that has social media, or if not, even like these beanies that people walk around campus or supermarkets, whatever. Oh, okay. So it is an apparel brand. The whole background of Love Your Melon was college students, particularly in Minnesota, started this brand where they wanted to have every child that was battling cancer have a beanie. That's why it's called Love Your Melon, like love your head, because they have, unfortunately, they have cancer. So they wanted to spread awareness, and the mission was everyone that bought a beanie, 50% of that net profit would go back to nonprofit organizations that they support. So now, fast forward, they now have college campus crews, which is what we are, who spread the awareness and the message that we also support pediatric cancer and what we do to spread awareness. So we just don't wear these beanies. We do lots of other events on campus. We have been an organization, not represented by Rick, but kind of on low-key terms, for about 3.5 to 4 years now. So, for whatever reason, we just are looking to get approved finally and being recognized as an organization on campus. So some things that we've done just this year, as in the fall semester and spring semester, we have spread awareness by going gold for an entire month during Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. We were on the quad and did all different kinds of things by going gold. We also talked to different groups around campus about how Love Your Melon and what we do as an organization, how to spread awareness. We also participated in different walks, one of them specifically the NAMI walk. Not that represents child with cancer, but represents people that have mental illnesses or they're anxious about certain things or whatever the case may be, that we support them. So we do support different organizations, not just pediatric cancer. We also add families from around the local area and even families that we come in contact with to get on different support services that we offer, such as hospital visits. We also they're called superhero adventures, where we bring kids and their families on I guess you could say, kind of like an all-inclusive free event that we put on where we get different vendors, businesses, organizations to donate their products, whether it's food, a room, I don't know, things like that, donated to the family just for the day so we can celebrate them and let them know that we are here for them. A whole bunch of support.
We have a book of our superhero adventure.
Our last one,
Like
do
to
I
see
want
it.
to pass it around? This is our last superhero adventure. It was a little girl named Vera. She is now 5 years old and she's battling with leukemia. So that is one family that we have been involved with. We have tons of other families as well, but this is just our most recent that we did last spring. So we also are in contact with different regions in terms of their crews. There's one at least at hopefully every college by now. So other than that, our purpose is, as you can see in our constitution, is to raise awareness on the campus. It's also to, I guess you could say, get more people on campus involved in many ways as possible. We are, like I said, we do not need funding. We are funded by Lander Mellon. So let's say we have a superhero adventure and costs get covered by them. It may only be $50. They give us our $100 or even $200, but nothing. We don't need any money. So that is, I'm sure, also a plus in terms of, as you can see, budgeting costs. I've heard that they have decreased. So there's no worries in terms of that. These people that are here today, I am the president of Lander Mellon at Rhode Island College, and I don't know if they want to introduce themselves.
My name is Diana Jeruzo. I am the public relations manager.
I'm Sonia Bouchard, I'm the secretary.
I'm Joy Marcelina, and I'm the vice president. So we do have our executive board here today. We also have, I want to say, there's above 30 active members that we meet bi-weekly. Right in Fogarty Life Science, our, give me a second to look up, our professor, who is our advisor, that's what I'm looking for, is Professor Sherry Boucher. She is a nursing professor who I just came, and a lot of students have come to know her just through classes, and she's a great support system for us. So, shout out to her, what she does. So other than that, in terms of, you know the purpose, what we want to do specifically, just to spread awareness, like I said multiple times, through Lander Mellon and Rhode Island College and the community. So other than that,
You pretty much summed it up.
questions, yeah.
I'm part of the bookstore advisory committee, and I think it's really cool to see Lander Mellon apparel here at the bookstore. I think that would help you guys really good. I don't know if I'm allowed to say something to that committee, bring it on time, but I'll research that because I think people are always buying rip apparel or stuff like that. But hey, you're buying something that could actually benefit someone else. So I'll spread the word. I'll try to see what they
I can answer that question.
Oh, yes.
Since Love Your Melon is a separate business than
Oh, okay.
Barnes and Noble, you
So
can't have
contracts.
more than two for-profit organizations in the same building. So unless they have some type of deal with Barnes and Noble, which my assumption would be they don't, then they can't be sold in the
Sorry.
You said it's for-profit or non-profit?
the for-profit.
So we're non-profit
Yes.
organization.
So I don't know if that's the same type of thing, but it
Okay.
depends.
We can always look into it. Yeah, definitely, because I'm pretty cool.
They do sell in tons of stores, so.
Yes.
They do, some use it, Target, and
Yeah. You can definitely look into that. Thank
That'd be
you.
awesome. Anybody have questions?
Awesome, thank you, Janelle.
First, I want to say this is a great organization. I'm mad that I didn't know about this before. Personal story, my little cousin had leukemia. So, with that being said, organizations like yourself is actually what keeps, she's in New Jersey, so her family support, I think, is limited because she's the only branch over there. So, that being said, organizations like yourself really help. So, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Well, on top of just trying to educate people about it, we also our mission to do is to try to bring happiness to us kids too, on those hospital visits. So we do help with them.
We partner with a lot of nonprofit organizations. We just did a recent hospital visit in Boston, where we partnered up with PABS Packs. It's little backpacks that are filled with just like little goodies for them, whether it's a stress ball, a stuffed penguin, books, tissues, things like that, for older kids that are unfortunately diagnosed with cancer. Because a lot of times we think pediatric oncology, we think of kids that are younger, 5, 6, 4, even infants. Sometimes the older teenagers, they don't want really any attention, but just to give them a little something special and like show support. We went to a hospital visit, and that was amazing as well. So.
Again, thank you for the work that you guys do. Because taking time out of your day to hang out with people that aren't that close to you is probably not the average thing to do, but you guys are amazing for doing things like that. Because again, like these are support systems that people do need to get better. And how are you going to get better if you don't start with any young? So thank you for being nice and sweet and supportive of these kids. Because again, they're kids and they don't really know what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Are you guys graduating this year? Any of you guys?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Are any of you guys graduating this year?
No one on the actual crew as this semester
Okay.
is graduating. Next semester we are. A couple people are graduating. However, we have such a big organization involvement that that's not going to determine whether we have more people left on the crew organization, on the club, I should say. There are a couple people graduating. We already did elections for the next term, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So we should be all set just for transitions.
Yes.
I was fixing to inquire, so y'all, do y'all do drives? Would y'all do drives on campus, like as in something y'all love, y'all know her?
Take that one.
Yeah, we actually just did a Ronald McDonald House drive, so we got a list from them, right?
Yeah.
That had stuff that they were looking for to bring into their Ronald McDonald House in Providence. And we did it during student board day in the ballroom. And we actually got a lot of people bringing stuff in.
I mean, like a whole dining room
Yeah,
full,
my
like
whole
half of the
dining room.
dining room full. And it's like just goods that people have donated. We did 2 of those. We've also done 2 Beat and Match tabling events in Donovan. And we will be doing our second Pinky Square Foundation, which is also one of the nonprofits that Lear Mellon supports, also in Donovan.
So they was recognized that they could still do their drives.
They're not getting money from outside. They can do whatever they want, pretty much, as long as like it's ethical and it's within their contribution.
Y'all all doing the speeds work, I'd say.
I also just wanted to say, you guys should definitely spread awareness about this. What days do you guys meet? I know that we're getting recording right there, so this is a great time for you to, maybe not a lot of people watch it, but the ones who do will know when you guys meet. I know you guys meet in Fort Lee Science twice a
We're in 124 bi-weekly, so this was our first, not first meeting. This was the meeting this week, so we're gonna have one in 2 weeks from now. Most likely, we do have a Facebook, we also have an Instagram page where we post everything. And if they have any questions or if they have an email, they can shoot us an email, message us on Instagram, whatever the case may be, and someone is always on their phone, so we'll answer if there are any questions they have, or let's say a meeting gets canceled, we post it, or we have a tabling event, because it's not always bi-weekly, we have a tabling event. Maybe we have a meeting, and the next week we have a tabling event. So they see that.
Constant updates.
I also think that, maybe talk to the media organizations. I know that the Anchor has a lot of science majors, and they will definitely like jump on an idea of like helping fellow science majors and fellow like health majors as well. So definitely look into that. You can also get some advertising, or just maybe some advertisements from WXIN. I'm a member as well, and I definitely I help production make a liner or something. You guys can even talk to us. So thank you.
That's awesome, thank you.
I do apologize, I heard 124, what building?
4 days.
4?
I don't know.
Overly like.
Listen,
This my first semester, I don't know.
It's across from the library, like not looking into the clock, the one next to the baseball field and softball field, and in between baseball and softball field and the soccer field.
Yes.
Towards the woods.
It's the new nursing building.
You know the tree from my car? I'm so sorry. That is so sad.
Okay, your car?
No, but I heard that girl was in, that doesn't matter, sorry. I mean, it does matter, but not that small.
Okay.
depends on the meeting, so also, for you guys, buy one, get one on March 4th.
March 4th.
So you don't split the cost, that's just besides the point.
But they
Just
don't
to throw that out there.
That's good information.
Yeah, they range between $30 to $50. $50 obviously is like cashmere and the nicest one you can get. They have other things, they have baseball caps, they have kids beanies, they have mittens, t-shirts, sweatshirts, zip-ups, tons of blankets. Clothes, yeah. They first started with beanies, they expanded because of how, something popular in a way. They-
How much is the vice president's one? I think it was.
There's probably
Probably 35.
Yeah, but-
Actually, the
yeah.
audience, that's good.
Come on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But they do kind of go fast, so they have like release days where they release more apparel, and now they, you can follow them on Instagram.
Yeah, definitely, thank you.
Awesome. Any further discussions? Need a motion and a second? I have one for Ms. Garcia, one for Ms. Rose. Thank you. Dan, any further discussions related to this? Awesome. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain?
Are you abstaining, Josh?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congrats, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to motion to table the rest of the agenda for March 6th with the snow. If anybody, I'd like to motion for that, if I can get seconds. And please, we still have to do the election afterwards, so, you guys see the one people on your,
Thank you.
Back to all sorts of things. So, we have Josh making a motion, do we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can just.
Yeah, just want to say that I won't be here on March 6th.
Okay.
So wait a minute, we're gonna have a problem here. Raise your hand if you're not gonna be here on March 6th. 1, 2, 3, we don't have 4.
You know, these is total numbers minus these divided by 2. So, as long as we all send in leaves, we'll be okay. So, we just need to vote on the motion to table.
All those in favor? Oh, wait,
I was gonna say, it is coming down a little bit faster than I thought it would. So,
yes. So, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Awesome. Okay, you're abstaining, okay. So we
just
just,
need the election, so.
We just need a motion to adjourn.
motion to go. One from Ms. Garcia, one from Ms. Polanski. So, awesome.
We gotta vote on it. We gotta vote on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Awesome, thank you. Elections.
Yeah, so, Stacy for election, we have to do roll call for election, so let me just secretary that.
Okay. I'm gonna do roll call for the end of the meeting, and then we'll just do that. You guys are. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry.
And, okay. Election meeting, Joshua Kersey.
Here.
Genesis Kersey. Here. Janelle Gomez.
Here.
Julio Burrow.
Here.
Haley Rowe. Sakani Keen. Catherine Enos. Alexis Polanski. Here. Valerie Andress. Rosalind Spilsky. Stephen Williams. Art Patrick. Robert Smith. No.
Are you sure?
You don't want to phone?
You can vote, so you
All right,
Okay, so you're here?
I will be here. All right, so what's gonna happen is, the candidate running for vice president will, give a nice little speech. We don't have any proxies and we don't have any leads for voters, so it's all good. Please write, one at the top page. No?
Well, we allow the remarks to happen first, and then you say.
I do all that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. All right, so, if you would please, Representative King, you have the floor for your speech.
Greetings, that's my name, Mark Kane. To be real quick, I'm gonna try to bridge my speech or whatever. So basically, the reason I'm trying to be the vice president is even at my my last school, we call it SCG, SGF, and here, SCG, whatever. But basically what I noticed is the exposure of our student body governments is quite low. Even when I was out there, you know, trying to get competition done, people were like, what that mean? What is that about that? And I was like, well, is they say the government that makes it everything? Y'all really quite, but really the only reason why I'm real good, again, I'm trying to make this shit quick, but I've always wanted to help. And what I noticed is the only way you can assist the world, the only way you can make it better is to make wherever you is better. You know? So my idea is to try to do whatever I can in my physical power to make whatever I can just slightly better. And that's one of the main reasons I'm here, and the other reason I'm here is to get the body itself into the people's space a little bit better. And that's basically what I'm doing. I had a better speech than that, but like I said, you know what I'm saying? I live on a hill, so I know I ain't gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm ever obliged that y'all listen to me, y'all would, what's the wrong for? Yeah, I'm gonna get blank. That y'all even consider me for this position. I'm ever obliged, I thank you.
Yep. Are there any write-ins? Are there any write-ins? Are there any write-ins?
I'm not writing.
We're all going to roll in a class real quick. Okay, so on it, it says ballot number. Please write number 1, please.
Do we have to write it and circle it to do that?
No, just write 1. Because I have done multiple elections this year, and I don't think people understand what the number 1 is. So please write number 1 on the top corner where it says ballot number.
If you go right number 1, your ballot is invalid and your vote doesn't count.
Yes.
Check the
Now, we
box.
want him to win by 1 vote, just 1 vote. Every year, would you like to practice vote? Here you go.
I don't have it.
All right, well, you can borrow mine. Here you go.
Hey.
You're welcome. Please put them up in the air when you're done.
Is there anybody else who's on the elections commission? Janelle, are you on elections?
Yes, no, she is an intern appointed, so yes, she is.
Okay, so she has to go out with you to count ballots.
Okay, come on, now.
Just to make sure.
Might not want to forget his. All right.
I think I put 2.
So who voted in G? So many SIN elections went on forever because people read it bad and not after a vote. So many.
It's wrong.
The amount of people that read Super Mario for Gamers Elections.
Robert's what about it?
It's still on.
Sounds like Rob Smith.
No.
Santori?
You have to hold them so.
Elo?
No,
Tom Elo?
no. So his name is Rob.
Robbie Rhodes?
Let me look.
Yeah, show us which one.
There's so many Robs.
The girl was in the car with the tree.
Rob,
Oh,
Wasn't even on my radar.
Okay, so with 6 votes in favor, Representative Kane is the new vice president of student community government, with 1 invalid with no number, and 1 vote for Janelle Gomez. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
we need one for church.
If you got something to say, you can talk to me outside.
So cash me outside for some reason, somebody forgot to write a number on it, so it wasn't valid. But congratulations. I would suggest that sometime in the following weeks, you come up and meet with Joan to go over your job description and whatnot. But other than that, if you have any remarks, any comments, you're welcome to share them. All right, I have motion for adjournment.
Everyone.
I need a motion
So I motion.
Ms. Venus.
Okay, vote, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right,